Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a question. Do you want more money or do you want more value? See, most people spend their lives chasing money, but here's the secret. Money is not something you chase. It's something you attract. By becoming more valuable, the marketplace doesn't pay you for your time. The marketplace pays you for the value you bring in that time. You can be broke working 60 hours a week, or you can be wealthy working 6 if your value is high enough. And the beautiful thing, I see value is something you can grow. Money follows value, not effort. This principle may seem counterintuitive at first. They see the strength of it, especially in a world that constantly praises hard work and hustle. We grow up being told if you just work hard, you'll succeed. But if that were universally true, the hardest working people would be the wealthiest. And that's simply not the case. Some of the most exhausted people on the planet are broke. Meanwhile, others earn extraordinary incomes while working fewer hours. What's the difference? It's not effort. It's value. Effort input. Value is the input. And in the marketplace, you don't get paid for how much energy you spend. You get paid for what your energy produces. This is where most people miss it. They stay busy, constantly doing more grinding, pushing, but they never stop to ask, is what I'm doing actually valuable to anyone else? The marketplace is not emotional. It doesn't care how long your to-do list is or how tired you are. It compensates based on value received. Think about it like this. If someone digs a ditch for 10 hours and someone else designs a software program in 2 hours that saves a company millions of dollars, who gets paid more? The software developer, because the value they created is exponentially greater. They see the strength of even though the physical effort might be less. That's how money works. This isn't about working less. It's about working on the right things. It's about understanding that your income is directly linked to the value you could create in the lives of others. That value comes in the form of knowledge, serve leadership, creativity, or innovation. But whatever form it takes, it must solve a real problem, meet a real need, or elevate someone's life in a meaningful way. When you focus on becoming valuable, you stop trying to manipulate money and start magnetizing it. That means investing in yourself, your mindset, your skills, your communication, your ability to execute. Because the more value you bring to the table, the more money will flow in your direction. You don't need to beg for opportunities. You need to become the person whose presence creates opportunities. Now, this also means taking responsibility for your own development. If money is a reflection of value and you're not earning what you want, then you have to honestly evaluate where your value stands in the marketplace. That doesn't mean you're not valuable as a person. Your intrinsic worth is priceless, but economic value is something you develop, refine, and deploy. It's not automatic. You grow it by solving higher level problems, serving more people, and showing up with excellence every single time. The key is to stop equating business with productivity and productivity with profitability. They see the strength of, and just because you're tired doesn't mean you're effective, and just because you're working doesn't mean you're growing. Money doesn't show up just you punch the clock. It shows up when you create transformation for others. That transformation may look like clarity, convenience, speed, peace of mind, or even inspiration. But it must be real. It must be tangible. It must be something someone is willing to exchange money for. Once you understand that value drives income, you shift your focus entirely. You stop asking, how can I make more money? And start asking, how can I become more valuable? That's the pivot. That's the path. And that's the principle that separates those who struggle from those who succeed. You are paid in proportion to the problems you solve. This single truth has the power to completely transform how you think about income, business, and personal growth. Most people believe that income is tied to hours, degrees, or even talent. But the real determinant of income is the magnitude and urgency of the problems you are able to solve for others. Whether you are a business owner, employee, coach, creator, or consultant, your financial reward is directly connected to the size, scope, and significance of the problems you can handle. Think about it. The world doesn't pay the most to the people who are the busiest. It pays the most to the people who remove pain, confusion, delay, or danger quickly and effectively. A person who unclogs drains makes less than a person who unclogs financial systems, even though both are solving problems. Why? Because the problem one solves has a higher perceived and actual value in the marketplace. The bigger the problem, the bigger the paycheck. And when you solve problems that affect more people or affect people at higher stakes, your value multiplies. If you look around, every successful product, service, or brand exists because it solves a specific problem. Uber solved the problem of transportation convenience. Amazon solved the problem of limited retail access. Netflix solved the problem of waiting and inconvenience in traditional entertainment. People pay for solutions, period, whether it's speed, access, relief, insight, transformation, or even status. There's always a problem being solved underneath the surface of a purchase. So the question becomes, what problems are you solving and how valuable are those problems to the people you're trying to serve? Solving low-level problems yields low-level pay. If you want to increase your income, you have to increase your ability to solve higher-level problems. That means developing better skills, sharper judgment, deeper understanding, and broader perspective. It might mean learning how to lead people, manage systems, navigate complexity, or engineer results under pressure. The people who rise in any organization or industry are those who take on greater problems and consistently create outcomes. That's why leadership roles pay more, because leaders are responsible for solving strategic, emotional, they see the strength of and operational challenges that others avoid. Now, here's what's powerful. You don't have to wait for someone to give you permission to become a problem solver. You can start right now. Look at your environment. Look at your industry. Look at your clients or team or audience. What are they struggling with that you can fix faster, cheaper, or better than others? Don't just focus on being efficient. Focus on being effective. Your value is measured by the results you produce, not just the tasks you complete. And the better you are at identifying, understanding, and resolving real-world problems, the more the world will reward you financially, professionally, and personally. The people who create wealth are not those who ask, what can I get? They ask, what can I fix? The difference in those two questions determines your trajectory. When you walk into a room, they see the strength of you, add clarity or confusion. When you join a project, you relieve pressure or create more of it. When someone hires you, do they feel like their burden has been lifted? Or do they have to manage you while managing everything else? If you want to become more valuable, become the person people turn to when things get complicated. Become the one who thrives in cause and brings order. Become the solution. Every dollar is a certificate of value delivered. If someone paid you $1,000, you solved the 1,000 problem. If someone paid you 10,000, you solved the 1,000 problem. That doesn't just apply to entrepreneurs. It applies in every career field, every industry, and every level of business. If you want more income, go after bigger problems. If you want leverage, build systems that solve problems for many people at once. If you want exponential returns, train others to solve problems you've already mastered. Because solving problems at scale is how wealth is created sustainably. Your internal worth determines your external wealth. Before any amount of money can sustainably manifest in your life, it must first take shape in your identity, your mindset, and your belief system. Many people chase money without ever cultivating the inner foundation required to hold and multiply it. That's why some win the lottery and lose it within a year. That's why some get an unexpected windfall and suddenly self-sabotage. Because the outer increase never outpaces the inner container. You will never outperform your self-image. If you don't see yourself as worthy of wealth, capable of handling it, and responsible enough to manage it, you will subconsciously repel the very abundance you claim to desire. This is why personal development always precedes financial development. Wealth begins on the inside. It starts with how you think, how you see yourself, how you speak, how you make decisions, and how you respond to challenges. Every external result is just a reflection of internal beliefs. You don't just earn money, you attract it based on the level of value you've built within. That value can't be faked or borrowed. It's the compound result of mindset, discipline, skill, and emotional strength. When your internal worth rises, your decisions change. You stop settling. You stop discounting yourself. You stop hiding your gifts. You stop undercharting. You stop associating with environments and people that contradict the vision you carry. Your internal world calibrates your external world. The mistake many make is thinking that income will suddenly fix their internal issues. But money only amplifies what already exists. If you're insecure, money will make you more insecure. If you're disorganized, money will magnify the chaos. If you're emotionally reactive, money will put you in situations where emotional intelligence is non-negotiable and lack of it becomes costly. On the other hand, if you're disciplined, confident, self-aware, and focused, money will accelerate your mission, your vision, and your legacy. So instead of chasing money, build yourself. Build the habits, the identity, and the capacity that money naturally flows to. There's also a difference between net worth and self-worth. Net worth can fluctuate, it can go up and down. It's affected by markets, decisions, timing, and external forces. But self-worth is an anchor. It's what keeps you steady in a storm. When you know who you are, and when that identity is rooted in purpose, principle, and service, you'll never be desperate for money. Because money is just one of many tools used to fulfill a higher calling. And when you operate that play from place of inner alignment, money becomes magnetized to you. Opportunities appear, resources multiply, doors open, not because you manipulated them, but because your internal worth activated them. This internal worth isn't about arrogance. It's about awareness. Awareness of your divine design. Awareness of your potential. Awareness of your responsibility to multiply what you've been given. You were not made to struggle forever. You were not designed to barely get by. You were made in the image of a creator who multiplies, who governs, who brings order to chaos. When you align yourself with that truth, your self-worth rises. And when self-worth rises, you no longer tolerate environments that drain you, jobs that belittle you, or relationships that confuse you. You make different moves, and those moves create different outcomes. Most people ask for more money, never ever become more of a person. They want abundance, but stay stuck in limitation thinking. They want promotion, but carry the energy of hesitation. They want freedom, but operate from fear. Until that gap is closed from the inside out, no amount of external strategy will stick. They see the strength of it because you don't attract what you are. So if you want more, you must become, not in a performative way, but in a deeply rooted, authentic internal transformation that shifts how you show up to the world, to your work, and to your assignment. Stop selling, start solving. One of the biggest shifts that separates average earners from high earners and struggling entrepreneurs from impactful leaders is their approach to money making. Most people try to convince others to buy. They push, persuade, pitch, and pressure, but real value in the marketplace comes not from how well you solve, but how effectively you solve. People don't want to be sold to. They want their problems gone. They want solutions that are fast. They see the strength of the effective and dependable in the person or business that delivers that consistently will never lack income, opportunities, or referrals. Because when you solve a real problem in a meaningful way, people don't need to be convinced. They want to have selling by itself as a tactic. Solving is a purpose. When you solve, you automatically sell because you become the answer someone is already searching for. You stop having to chase people and start attracting the ones who need what you offer. That's the power of becoming solution-oriented. It shifts your energy from transaction to transformation. You're no longer focused on what you can get from people. You're focused on what you can give that changes their situation. That shift alone creates trust, and trust is the ultimate currency in business. Most people resist the idea of selling because they associate it with manipulation. They don't want to feel pushy or salesy. But when you operate from a problem-solving mindset, the pressure disappears. You're not forcing anything, you're serving. You're helping someone get from pain to peace, from stuck to free, from confusion to clarity. That's not sales, that's service. And people pay premium prices for real solutions. If your offer doesn't solve a problem, it's just noise in the marketplace. But if it solves something important, it becomes necessary, even urgent. Solving problems begins with listening. You can't solve what you don't understand. They see that too many entrepreneurs build offers around what they want to sell instead of what the market needs to buy. They fall in love with their product instead of the problem. But the secret to income, obsessed with the problem you're solving and the people you're solving it for. Know them deeply. Know their fears, their desires, their obstacles, their blind spots. When you understand that, you can position your solution in a way that resonates and connects. Not through hype, but through clarity and relevance. Problem solvers are seen as leaders. They command attention because they create results. They see the strength of they're not diagnosing. And people trust those who diagnose more than those who advertise. When feel understood, they are far more likely to buy. And when they get results, they come back, they refer, they promote. That's how brands grow, but not by being loud or by being better at solving what matters. It also changes your confidence. When you know that what you offer works, you don't need to be timid. You can see the stand in authority, not arrogance, but assurance. You don't beg people to buy. You invite them into a solution. And if it's not the right fit, you don't panic. You move on, knowing that your solution will always be valuable to the right person at the right time. That mindset removes desperation and replaces it with conviction. The economy rewards clarity. If you can clearly communicate the problem you solve, for whom, and what outcome you deliver, you will always have clients or customers. But if you're vague, broad, or unfocused, people won't buy because confusion never converts. Solving sharpens your offer. It makes your messaging more magnetic. It makes your audience lean in. They don't see you as someone trying to get their money. They see you as someone who gets their pain. And that distinction changes everything in business, from your marketing to your pricing to your positioning in the market. Skill mastery multiplies your marketplace value. In a world filled with distractions, shortcuts, and surface-level knowledge, mastery stands out. The marketplace does not reward those who dabble. It rewards those who dominate. When you become exceptional at something that matters, something that solves problems, drives results, and creates measurable transformation, you become irreplaceable. That level of value commands attention, respect, and income. It gives you leverage because mastery allows you to do in minutes what takes others hours. It gives you confidence because when you've paid the price in discipline and repetition, you no longer second guess your worth. Most people settle for competence. They learn just to get by, to check a box, to meet a requirement. But competence is crowd. It's the baseline. It's where everyone starts. Mastery is rare. It's not accidental. It's intentional. It requires a decision to go deep instead of wide, to pursue X over comfort, and to continue refining even when others would quit. It's the difference between being a generalist and being a specialist. And in any economy, specialists are who attract the highest compensation because they bring the highest value. Skill mastery is not just about knowledge. It's about application. It's about executing under pressure, adjusting with precision, and consistently delivering outcome others can't. It's built through hours of focused practice, relentless feedback, and a willingness to fail forward. You don't become a master by consuming more content. You become a master by doing more with what you know. Repetition sharpens instinct. Consistency sharpens execution. That's how mastery is formed, not overnight, but over time. When you commit to mastering a skill, you begin to separate yourself from the masses. You're no longer just another voice in the crowd. You become the authority, whether it's in marketing, leadership, design, communication, sales, or strategy. When you master a skill, you create demand. People start to seek you out. They ask for your insight, your help, your presence, because what you do, few others can do at your level. And that demand gives you options. You don't have to chase opportunity when you've built skill at a level where opportunity finds you. The economy doesn't pay for potential. It pays for performance. And high performance comes from high mastery. You don't have to be the best at everything, but you do have to be exceptional at something. Find that one skill where you can go deep. Let it become your differentiator. Let it become the doorway to relationships, contracts, offers, influence, and impact, because one mastered skill, properly positioned, can unlock more income and opportunity than it doesn't have developed ones. Skill mastery also multiplies your internal confidence. It changes how you enter rooms. They see the strength of how you negotiate on yourself and how you serve others. When you know you've invested the hours, made the mistakes, and refined your craft, you show up with a different level of certainty. That certainty is magnetic. It communicates competence without you having to oversell. People can feel when someone has done the work. Mastery has a presence to it. It speaks before you open your mouth. In a competitive world, average no longer cuts it. Being pretty good is not a strategy. You need to be excellent at something specific, something meaningful, something that people would struggle to replace. That's how you create sustainable value. They see, because while tools and technology may evolve, mastery never goes out of style. It transcends trends. It stays relevant because results are always in demand. Mastery also positions you to teach, to lead, and to duplicate. Once you've mastered a skill, you can create frameworks, programs, or systems around it. You can turn your expertise into assets, books, courses, trainings, intellectual property. That's where wealth starts to scale. You don't chase money, you become the kind of person it chases. This is a fundamental mindset shift that separates those who struggle financially from those who consistently attract abundance. Chasing money puts you in a reactive posture, places you in a position of lack of hustle, of constantly looking outside yourself for opportunities. But becoming the kind of person money chases means you build such internal strength, clarity, the end value that money flows toward you as a natural response to who you are and what you do. It means transforming your identity into one that aligns with wealth, responsibility, and impact. When you embody that version of yourself, money becomes a byproduct, not the pursuit. Chasing anything implies that it's running away from you. It puts you in a constant cycle of effort without fulfillment. But when you shift from chasing to attracting, everything changes. Attraction is about alignment. It's about becoming magnetic through personal development, clear vision, discipline, and mastery. The more aligned you are with excellence and purpose, the more opportunities, clients, deals, and income are pulled into your orbit without force. Money is drawn to clarity, service, leadership, and confidence. It flows toward people who operate with high standards, not desperation. The person who is constantly chasing money often makes decisions based on emotion, fear, and short-term gain. They compromise values, jump from one idea to another, and stay stuck in cycles of inconsistency. But the person who attracts money makes decisions from vision, strategy, and confidence. They aren't swayed by every new trend or shiny opportunity because they've built something solid on the inside. They know who they are, what they offer, and who they serve. That self-awareness and alignment creates stability, attracts growth. Becoming the kind of person money chases means elevating your habits, your thinking, and your execution. It means showing up early, over-delivering, and handling challenges with maturity. It means thinking long-term, building systems, and developing resilience. It also means being a good steward of what you already have. If you can't manage a little, you won't manage a lot. Wealth doesn't just require opportunity, it requires responsibility. And when you prove that you can handle the greater income by how you manage your current income, more begins to show up. This shift also requires you to develop emotional intelligence. People who attract wealth don't just know how to make money. They know how to manage relationships, handle stress, lead others, and make clear decisions under pressure. Money flows through people, and people are drawn to those who bring peace, clarity, and certainty into uncertain situations. If people feel better, safer, and more empowered around you, you become a magnet for opportunity. But if you bring chaos, fear, or confusion, doors begin to close, or identity sets the tone for your financial reality. You can't see yourself as average and expect above average results. You can't carry beliefs of lack and expect abundance to flow. Every decision, every opportunity, and every conversation is filtered through your self-image. If you don't believe you're worthy of wealth, you'll sabotage or ignore the doors designed to elevate you. But when you carry yourself with certainty, not arrogance, but quiet authority, you give others permission to trust you, follow you, and invest in what you bring to the table. There's a version of you who doesn't need to beg, plead, or grind endlessly for financial breakthroughs. That version of you has clarity, structure, peace, and a sense of divine purpose behind every move. That version of you isn't frantic or scattered. That version of you builds instead of chases. Money in that environment doesn't resist you. It recognizes you. They see flows toward you because you've become the kind of person who naturally multiplies value wherever you go.